Well, today we're going to take a look at one of my time machines. Back in 1985, I bought one of these when I was in the Navy, and I got to shoot it, got to enjoy it, but in the process of time and traveling, going out on a submarine, guns back in those days were just as fluid as cash, and I sold it to a buddy that wanted it more than I did at the time. Had to make a insurance payment on my Corvette, 67 Corvette big block, but I remember this gun very well. I came home on leave one time and I was shooting it in the ditch. I was shooting at some water moccasins back in the day when that was okay to do. And a state trooper pulled up behind me and didn't even turn his lights on, just got out of the car and asked me what I was doing. I told him I was shooting some snakes, and he said, "Is that a Colt Gold Cup?" I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "Do you mind if I look at it?" I handed him the gun and a full magazine. He loaded it, and he shot at a few sticks in the water, and he handed it back to me and said, "That's a fine gun there, son." He said, "You be careful." So that shows you how much time has changed. If you did that today, you'd probably have black helicopters landing on your head. But that was back in 1985. So you move ahead 40 years. I was 25 then. I'm 65 coming up this 12th of June. 65 now, so that's a 40-year time machine. So I saw one of these in a gun store recently, and it sat there kind of sad looking. Nobody wanted to touch it at $1,350. So I asked them, I said, "Would y'all do a layaway on that?" And they said, "Sure, you can do $1 down, $1 a day. That's fine. Just try to get it paid off, you know, in 90 days. So I plunked down about 60 bucks on it and sold a few pups here and there and kept adding a little bit to it. And finally I got it out of hock, as I call it. I went in just for some visits every now and then, make sure it was still safe and secure. Got to play with it a little bit. But today we're going to start episode 1 of a deep dive into this very pistol, the Colt Gold Cup Trophy. They introduced this to the market, Colt did, back in 1957. Been around for a while. Sometimes they were called the Colt Gold Cup National Match. This one is called the Trophy. I believe I bought this prior to CZ because it has some heavy roll marks in it. I like that. Just feel like I need that as part of a 40-year-old time machine. So now I'm back in the business, and we'll have a look at it. That's just a picture of one there. That's not my actual pistol, but it is actually just like that. So if you want to trace that serial number down, that's just somebody that had it pictured on the internet. That's what you're looking at, it's a computer screen. So now let's look at the real thing here. Well, my first Gold Cup got away from me when I was a young man in the Navy, 25 years of age. And now that I'm 65, I got this one from a local gun store. Like I say, I had it on layaway, paid $60 down, and then kept paying on it till I finally got it. So I'm going to make this one my personal gun. It's going to start off as a target gun, and since it's here on Whimsical Farm, we'll let it metamorphosize into whatever it wants to become. So if it wants to become a daily carry, it may do that. It may stay just strictly a target gun, it may become home protection gun. We don't know yet, but let's have a look. You can see the box here, the Colt box. This is a surprise for you when you see this. I guarantee you're not going to expect it. Uh-oh. That looks like a problem, but it's not, because this time machine had to go into a special place. Looks like we only got one magazine, and that's got the little horse rearing up on it. That is a Colt 45 magazine. You can clearly see that. Colt 45 magazine, got the little horse. Comes with one. That's kind of a disappointment, but that's the world that we live in now. So what happened to the pistol that was in the box? Well, here's what happened. I took it out in the yard, fired 2 rounds through it. It shot perfect. It shot a tuna can at about 20 yards out. I hit dead center on the tuna can, and the second shot I fired went through almost the exact same hole. So that's my big windy story. And then it came into the surgery ward, and that's where it's living now. There's my brand new Colt Gold Cup. Say, my gosh, man, it looks like you completely tore it all to pieces. Yep, that's exactly what I did. So the thing with a brand new pistol for me is I want to get real familiar with all the pieces. I want to see which pieces are good quality, the highest quality. I want to see which pieces that I want to keep. I want to see maybe if there's something that I want to modify. Now, I'm going to tell you, the 1911 by far is the most popular gun in the world to modify, to tinker with. It is a tinkerer's gun. Unfortunately, the 1911 has got a bad reputation for not being super reliable, but most of that is due to people that what we call in the South here bub-eyes. They took it down in the basement. They read an article somewhere on the internet that said you should take a Dremel and polish out that feed ramp good and slick. And boy, they polished it out good and slick, and they ruined the gun because they don't realize John Moses Browning designed that gun to have a 1/32 inch of gap between the feed ramp that's in the frame and the small, short feed ramp that is built into the barrel. So if you don't know what you're doing, it would be a lot better for you to start with a cheap gun. Let me give you a good example. If you want to buy a gun to play with and do some grinding on and do some part swapping and learn how to take them apart and not worry about scratching it, this is what you want right here. You want to go to TSOS. It is a company out of Turkey, and you want to buy one of these nice GI 1911s and let that be your trainer gun for playing with one. That is by far the best way to do it, because now you're investing $300, $299, instead of $1,300. So the Colt Gold Cup, $1,000 more. You're getting a whole lot more gun. Is it worth it? That is up to the individual. I'm going to say for me it is, because this is my time machine. So the first thing I did is I checked it for cleanliness, and Colt left this gun, I'm talking about sparkling clean. It was so clean that it didn't have a drop of oil or grease or anything. I did go ahead and grease the slide and oil all of the major components before I even fired those 2 shots. I checked it for cleanliness. But this gun was very, very clean. Now, you will find some people on the internet, like always, any subject, there'll be people that like to run their mouth and talk bad about Colt, and Colt did this and Colt did that, and their factory caught on fire, and then they had a flood, and they sold it to CZ. That you can hear people talk about anything. Colt does an excellent job of building guns, and I have already proven that to myself. I had one back in '85. So did it degrade since then? No, it's a better quality gun now than it was back in 1985. Here we are in 2025, 40 years later, if my math is correct. So let's look at the first thing, which is I just want to look at 2 pieces. We'll lay the rest of it aside. So we're going to look at the frame and the slide. Now, of all the things that you get in a gun, those are the 2 most important, and if I could say a third, would be this right here. Those are your 3 most important parts of your gun. Is your frame and your slide and your barrel. That's the most important. So we'll lay these other smaller parts aside. And these are all forged. They're all stainless steel. That by far is my favorite way to go in a 1911. I'll tell you why. The slide and the frame are, for me, stainless steel is the best way to go, and I learned this from years of using them, holstering them. You don't have to worry about losing your finish. If you go with a stainless steel gun, the only thing that you need to be able to make that gun look beautiful again is some sandpaper. Now, when I say that, there's a lot of people freak out because they say, man, you're going to run sandpaper on your gun. They don't realize what I'm talking about because they don't have time with it. They've never used any of it. I used to build knives years ago, and I could put a mirror finish on a knife blade with some 600 grit, And I thought, well, there's got to be something better than that for a gun if I want to really get serious. And here's what you use right here. You go to Harbor Freight. They've got this product, Hercules. It's a wet sanding paper, 1200 grit, and it is so smooth you can barely tell which side that the sand is on. So that's the beauty of a stainless steel gun. If you decide you want a gun to carry, you want one to stay in good shape for a long time, go with stainless steel. And I learned that from carrying it. And also there's another man that's very good with the 1911s. He's rebuilt them and maintained them, done maintenance. He's got his own parts company, and that's Hilton Yam of 10-8 Performance. Hilton Yam has a special that he does. He goes through all the different finishes. The nitriding, he goes through the bluing and Cerakote and all that different things. And he said all those finishes will wear off, parkerizing. They'll all wear off, bluing will wear off. They just wear off. And if you go with stainless steel, you never have that as a problem. Now, stainless can rust. It does have iron in it. It is magnetic. And you saw that. It was sitting in a magnetic tray. I had to pull on it to get it out of the tray. So it is magnetic, but stainless steel, a good forged slide, this part right here, and a good forged frame, and that's hammer forged, and a good forged match grade barrel. That is your basis of your gun. So we're going to go ahead and have a look at, we'll lay this barrel aside. I want to look at frame to slide fitment. That is not all of your accuracy, but that is a good foundation for the gun. So I got my little stand here. Let's try this out. Turn this around. Let's go this way. And we'll expand this out a little bit. There is our frame. We'll raise this up a little bit because that piece of wood's going to hit. We'll raise this up and put this slide on there very carefully. And what you will notice on this gun is the fitment is very good. It's got a good fit to it. Now that'll sit like that. Talk about this for a minute. This, in the back of it, when you put the gun together, all that was exactly smooth. When it's in battery, all that smooth. The extractor on the back was exactly aligned with the rear end of the gun. All that was good and square. Of course, I've got it disassembled now, but all the fitment on that was really good and flush. No problem there. I also, this is a trick of the trade that I've used for years and years. When you're running a machine like this, it is a machine. This particular machine does better with grease than it does with oil. On the slide to frame fit, I believe this gun has got about 8.5 or 9 thousandths, but this is what I use. It's funny because I have people write to me and they say, "Oh man, don't use grease. That's for your wheel bearings." They forget that this particular company built this as special gun grease. That's what it's for. So I put a very thin coat, very thin. We're not trying to run bearings on a axle on a car or a truck, so just a very thin coat of these rails. And then we'll give this a try, see how much better. Again, Colt, when they sent me this gun in the box, that thing was bone dry. I would not have even fired it, it was so dry. But I think what they're doing is just trying to make sure everybody understands how clean their guns are. And they let you pick the flavor of oil that you want. But you can see now, I mean, that thing is, it is very, very slick. In fact, here's a quick test that we can do. I'll get my stand out of the way. And what we'll do is we'll stand this up where you can see it. I like to do it like this. You can see I'm getting grease all over everything. Stand that up like that and then release the slide. And I want this to be a little bit wider. I'm going to hold it like that and just let this slide go. And you can see that thing is very, very slick. It's not going to hurt anything. I got 2 towels there on the table, but that is a very slippery And that grease helps, but I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that rail. And that has not even been broke in. A way to break one of these in is get you a little bit of tooth polish, mix it with some gun oil, a good quality gun oil, like this stuff right here. This is my old can of gun oil, FP10 CLP. Mix that with some tooth polish. Get you a good movie like Top Gun Maverick, and just cycle it like that. Tooth polish and gun oil, and just do that for the 3-hour movie. Say tooth polish, that's going to grind it no more than your teeth, so it's very, very low abrasion. Don't use Comet, don't use rubbing compound like for a car. Just a little tooth polish and that good gun oil. But I'm going to tell you, on this gun, I didn't have to do that, man. This gun, the tolerances on it are not too tight. They're not too tight. I don't want a gun. I know Les Bear and Dan Wesson and some of the other companies, Wilson Combat, they build what they call a hard fit gun. That's fine. If you're trying to do bullseye and shoot a 1-inch group at 50 yards, that's fine. This is a gun that I would target shoot with more along the lines of 25 yards. Or maybe some action shooting. But I'm telling you, you can't, I wish you had feel-o-vision, but that thing, you can see it perhaps, that it is smooth. And I know it's got grease, but stainless does not like to slide on stainless. It just does not like to do that. So that's why I'll always use grease. Oil will run off, oil will evaporate, grease will be there in the morning when the morning comes. So I like the grease. It's very slippery. Say, what kind of grease is that? That is this kind right here. That's the brand name. Rig Universal. Notice in small letters there, it says gun grease. One guy said, oh, that stuff will turn into grind compound. It'll collect a bunch of sand and dirt. I'm not going into combat with this gun. This gun is going to be one of my pet guns for the farm. It's going to be, this is my time machine that brings me back from 40 years ago up to now. And I guarantee I'll take good care of it. I've got a special Safari Land holster that I've already proved fits good. And it's got a soft suede lining in it, so it'll be no problem at all. So there's that. Now I'm careful with this. You don't want to bang it around because that's going to fall off. We'll go ahead and lay it out just like that. So that is the most critical components of your gun to start off with. You're trying to get a good quality gun. That's where you want to start, right there. You want a good solid stainless steel forged frame and forged slide, and in this case a national match barrel to go with. So let's take a look at some other components here. I'm going to go ahead and lay these aside. Those will just be beautiful right over here. And let's look at the rest of this surgery tray and see what I ran into during the first initial inspection. And we're going to call today's video, this is going to be episode number 1. I may zoom in and out a few times. We're going to take a look at some of these components, lay them aside as I check them off the list, and see if we're going to keep them or whether they're going to get replaced or whether they'll be put on hold and maybe do something with them later. So let's start off with the grips. The grips are absolutely beautiful. This is a pinion. Opinions are just that. They are opinions. But these fit perfect. Those are nice Colt grips, and they are G10. They've got a good, very nice rough finish on them. The texture's excellent. It's got the beautiful Colt name on them. And this gun could easily become my everyday carry. I mean, it's just, it's a beautiful thing. So those are going to stay. I don't need Coca-Cola. I don't care for, now this is, I hope Mr. Hilton Yam don't get mad at me because he loves the screws on them. He loves to be able to take a piece of brass and like the military used to do, make sure you can take a live round and unscrew your grips or tighten your grips. But I don't care for this kind of screw. This is just me now. Don't be upset with me. But I don't care for that kind of a screw, because no matter what you do, unless you put O-rings in there, these are never going to line up straight. And they drive me crazy. I already tried on this Colt. I tried to tighten them down good and tight and try to get them all to line up 12 and 6, as I say, or line up with the grips at a little bit of an angle. Couldn't get it to do it. So I will be putting in some nice stainless steel Torx screws. And the thing with the Torx is they always look exactly the same, and I can tighten them to whatever tightness I want. So those will get replaced, okay? These also, I didn't tell you this about these grips. These are what they call the fat grips. Everybody's going to the new thin grips, but I've got large hands, so I like the larger, thicker grips. And Colt went ahead and put in the heavier, longer, thicker bushings on here, and that's one of the ways that you can tell. You can measure that and look up the specs on it. But these are the taller, thicker bushings, and so if you buy thin grips, these are not going to work. You'd have to take those out. So that's all going to stay, no problem there. Next, let's see if we can get some things that we keep, okay? We'll start off with that. This is a match grade Colt barrel. It's a national match. It already has been cut in the front. It's got a deep cut in the front of it. See if you can see that right there. It's got a deep cut, a little slope in the front, and then it's been chamfered on the sides. This is designed to shoot round ball or semi-wad cutters. It is a target gun, so it's designed for target rounds. So that has absolutely nothing wrong with it. It fits the slide, the uppercuts in the slide. All this fits very tight tolerance. Just got a plain cut in the front. Leave that alone. Don't have to do anything to it. It's got a good quality part there. The link looks like it's a good quality part. And so nothing to do that, as they say. Nothing to see here, just a good quality match barrel. All right, next component, the trigger. This trigger, I have slid that in the frame of the gun. That's a Vidicki style skeletonized. It is aluminum trigger. It's got a stainless steel bow, and it is perfect. It fits the gun good. It runs back and forth smooth. Don't have to change it. Don't have to do anything to it. It also does have, from the factory, this is funny, I watched this on YouTube today. This man said, you can adjust that trigger however you want because it's got a screw there. It's not to adjust your trigger poundage. That is an over travel screw. So if you screw that in, that will decide how far your trigger goes after it breaks. So if you screw it in too far, it won't even let you shoot the gun. So you screw that in to where it will barely shoot, and then you back it off just a little bit more, leave yourself a little bit of slack. But that's an over travel screw. Nothing wrong with that trigger. We keep it. Next thing on the list is our barrel bushing. Goes with that nice match grade barrel. It is a high quality barrel bushing. I didn't see anything wrong with it. So it stays. We keep it good tight tolerance. It fits the slide tight enough, but not enough that I have to have a wrench, which is nothing but aggravation to me. And I know some people there, they've got to have it where it turns in with the wrench and super tight and all that, and the pipe wrench and channel locks. I don't want any of that nonsense. I want it to come apart kind of like a military pistol. So that stays. That's beautiful. What else we got next? Let's look at this. This is our cap, the end for the recoil spring. There's nothing wrong with it. It's stainless steel. It's got the nice little grids on there, cross grids, and they've got a good texture to them. Stainless steel. I've checked it out. It's good heavy duty. It's definitely got some iron in it because it sticks to the magnet. So that passes, no problem. This is one of Colt's new designs. They've had this out for a number of years. They built this for the M45, the M45 pistol for the United States Marine Corps. And with that came also the stubby guide rod. That is a GI style guide rod, but they went with a smaller diameter. So now you've got a small diameter guide rod for this smaller spring. And then you've got, if you'll notice the spring length, the little skinny one is longer, so it does the majority of the work in the beginning. And then this big boy on the outer part is supposed to catch any further recoil. And I think their thinking behind this was just recoil management. They were going to make this gun shoot a lot softer and all that. I don't need any of that. That to me is total foolishness. I don't need that at all. So I thought I would take my nice Wolf 12-pound variable rate spring and put it in there. But unfortunately, this is the wrong size for it. So I ordered a Wilson Combat bulletproof stainless steel guide rod. It will be this length, but it'll be the proper GI diameter. And then we'll put in the nice single Wolf spring. So those two pieces, these three pieces are going to go off over here in the must be replaced pile. These four little screws are going to get the Torx treatment. They're going to get replaced. Those will go in a bag. I won't throw anything away. We're going to keep it where I can put it back to box stock if I need to. All right, the next part is going to be our firing pin. The firing pin is does not stick to the tray, which is an indication that it is titanium. So good solid titanium firing pin. That's a COLT product as far as I know. It passes the test. It also comes with the heavy duty spring that goes with it, and that makes this gun where you can drop it off of a tall building and nose down. And with this lightweight firing pin and this recoil spring that protects it, it's recoil for the firing pin spring, that keeps that gun from accidentally firing just from the inertia of that firing pin going forward. The spring protects, and then the lightweight titanium just keeps a Series 70, which there's no extra safeties on a Series 70. That makes the gun where it cannot fire from dropping it. So we keep those parts. All right, next on the list, what else we got? We've got the firing pin stop. This one, when I went to take the gun apart, this is a good part. I don't have any problem with it. It does not look like it's an MIM part. I believe this is a machine part. That's kind of one of those that I don't want it to be MIM. And it's a good part. But here's the deal with this piece. It was in the back of the slide and it was stuck. So when I went to pull it out, you couldn't just stick an ink pen and push the firing pin down and then slide this out like you do other guns. It was in there really stuck. It's machined well. It's good and square. You want it to be pretty tight tolerance. But what I'll have to do is take that 1200 grit, and I'll come in here on the sides. I'll lay the 1200 on a flat surface, probably glass, and I'll polish just these sides and this side, just knocking the roughness out of it. I won't change the dimensions any, just making it a little smoother, put a little grease on it, see if I can get it to go in and out by hand. Because what I had to do, the way this slide is built, now let's see about inserting this. I don't know if that's going to insert or not. Usually when you're shooting a video, things get twice as crazy as normal. But it is a very tight tolerance. And what happened was I didn't have any room to pry it out. See, now it's going in pretty good. It's going in pretty decent. I'm not going to push all the way. But at the top, when it was all the way at the top, I could not even get a... you can't put a pry bar in there or a tweaker or a small screwdriver, because the only thing you'd have to pry against is this rear sight. It's a spring-loaded sight, and that's not a pry point. So all I did was I took that screw and I had to turn it 50 turns, got it out, and flipped that up, and then came in with a punch and drove that firing pin stop out. I think it's just because it was bone dry, and that's a possibility. It was bone dry and a very tight tolerance fit, but just a little bit of cleanup on it and it probably is going to be fine. A little bit of polishing. I'm not going to change the dimension on it. So that's a good piece. We're going to go ahead and keep it. It's got the nice ramp on the back of it, which lets you, when you rack the slide, it lets that go over the hammer and cock the hammer just a little bit smoother than just a a blunt square cut. So I do like that nice little curve. That is a nice Colt part, and we'll leave that as is and keep it. All right, next part, let's go ahead and jump into the sear spring. The sear spring looks to be of very high quality, and it is set at 6.5 pounds. I'm not going to go into adjustment right now, but that's very easy to tune the spring for your hammer. And I promise you, my trigger when I get through will be right at 3 pounds or maybe a touch under. I like a 275, 299, something like that, right underneath 3. But that part's good. It looks like it's got some kind of a blue or special coating. It has the relief cuts, which makes this a little thinner and easier to tune and make sure that it doesn't rub each other or anything in there. So we'll leave that as is for now, and later we'll tune just this one for the take up and the sear. We'll tune those two. I think that's take up, that's sear. This one is for grip safety. We will leave it alone. No problem with it. So happy with that piece. Next, let's have a look at the hammer and the hammer strut. Now this hammer, I glance at it very carefully, and that hammer does not have any telltale signs of MIM. It does not have any little sprue holes where they squirt the molten powdered metal, and it also has very precision looking cuts on it, like you could only do with a tool steel part. You cannot do that flat, very fine, polished looking cut on an MIM part. It just won't do it. And usually you lose your surface hardness too when you do that. So everything about this screams quality. It looks very good. It is a match grade gun, and I think what we're going to do, we'll leave this alone. It doesn't have any of the little let's see, it doesn't have any little round indentions. If you have an MIM part, it'll usually have an S or an M, or it'll have some letter, and what they'll do is they'll have like a little round hole and they'll have a letter in it, and that means it was definitely in a mold. It could be cast or it could be MIM, but the sides on this are cut very flat. I like that. It's beautiful. It's got really good knurling there for your thumb. It's got a good looking strut bar that goes down to your mainspring. Again, no MIM ejection marks. They will put a little round dot on those, sometimes kicking it out of the machine. It does not have that. So that's good for the fire control group. We'll leave that. Keep it. All right, the next piece is going to be of the fire control group is going to be the disconnector. This does not have a lot of pressure on it, and that is an MIM part. You can clearly see that. It has the little letter right there. Hopefully you can see that. I'm going to turn it back and forth, see if I can get the light to catch it. But it has that little round. If you see a round indentation with a letter in it, only way, you don't machine that. That would be way too tedious to try to run a miniature end mill or engraving machine. You're just not going to do that. So that is the MIM part, but here's the thing about it. I have checked this for hardness best I could, and it is a very hard part. These are low stress parts. I'm not having a problem with that for a target gun. Fine, later on, if I want to let it metamorphosize into a super heavy duty carry gun, then that part will get replaced. But for target shooting, I'll shoot it on the bench and shoot several thousand rounds. I'll probably be in the ground long before I wear that out. And that is the disconnector. Here's the sear. We'll have a look at it up close and personal, see if it has any marks. That looks like a sprue mark right there. Right here on this corner looks like a sprue mark. We turn it over, and let's see what I see here. Yep, there's the typical little mark you see for MIM, I believe. Yep, or sprue mark, one of the two right there, that little hole and circle. So that looks like that is also an MIM part, but the surfaces are good, and right on the critical edge, it looks very good to me. It does have a notch, which is kind of unusual. That's something that Colt came out with for the Gold Cup, and they say that can fight it kicking back and firing twice, having double taps. So that's one of the features that the Colt engineers, you're welcome to read up on that. Don't know too much about that, but we're going to go ahead and keep that for now, the sear. The next part, this is a critical part. This is your extractor, and this extractor was tuned from the factory properly, and I can tell you, I'm very happy to say this is a very critical part for reliability, and if you're going to have a carry gun for combat or personal protection, you want this to be the real deal, and this one is. There is no mark on this anywhere that indicates that it could possibly be MIM or cast. In fact, if you look real close, I'm going to try to get it where you can see this little detail. There is a small metal flag right where this curve cut would be. Like if you radius that through with some type of a tool and cut through there, that little curve, there is a little bitty metal flag in there that lets me know that machine went in and cut. It cut on both sides a little and left that little flag. I'm going to leave that alone, no problem. The back end of it, it fits with the slide in the back very good. I mean precise. It doesn't stick out proud and long. It's not recessed by 20 or 30 thousandths. It's good and flat. So the extractor claw, this extractor part, passes my test, and it is tuned properly. It will hold a live round in the roll around test with just a slide. So that will keep it. Next, let's take a look at the slide stop. This is a critical part, and let's see if this is an MIM part, just for fun. It has a little stamp on there. It says F, and it looks like it has a machine mark right there. That looks like that could be out of a mold, but it looks like a swipe off of some kind of a machine that made a pass right there. And if it was a cast part, what you'll see on these, which is really obvious, is you'll see a parting line on that round pin that goes through there and holds your link on the barrel. If this was cast or MIM, which MIM is in a mold, you would clearly see a parting line, and I do not see it. So I think this is actually a tool steel part. Thank you, Colt, for doing that, because that's one that can break, and this has a lot of load on it. That's taking care of all your, when your recoil happens, your explosion happens in the chamber, that barrel is coming to the rear, and it's going to hit that link, and it's going to make it do its Browning tilting barrel function. It's going to tilt hard, and it has to ride on that pin right there. So great job on that. Now I will tell you that this is very hard to put into the gun against the little pin here. This pin here is the one that holds this, holds the safety, and it also holds the this one holds the safety, and it captures this too. The small end is the part that goes against this, and this is the one where you will make an idiot mark on your gun if you're not careful. So the only thing I do on these to make it a lot easier is I'll come in here and I'll look at the exact angle on the head of that slide stop right along in there somewhere, and I'll go in here with a jeweler's file, and where that's really flat right there, I'll round that out, make it look like a trailer hitch on a truck, and take that 1200 grit and I'll polish that, round it off, and I'll take that 1200 grit and also polish this little spring tip here. I'll get him polished up real good. That thing will look like chrome. I'll polish it on the end where the thumb safety goes on it, polish it, look like chrome. It's stainless steel anyway, and that will just ease that, make it a little smoother to put together. All right, next part, let's take a look at. That's going to be the grip safety. The grip safety is clearly a cast or MIM part. You can see that very well. And Chip McCormick for years has made these with the MIM process. Nothing wrong with MIM if it's done properly. This is a very low loaded item on a 1911. There's almost no stress on this. It's good and thick and heavy. This one definitely has it has iron in it. You can see that it's sticking to the This is a magnetic tray. It's a mechanic tray, but it sticks good. No problem with that. I will keep that. It has a kind of a blast finish on it. I like the finish. It is a good quality stainless. It has a good thick memory bump. That meets all my criteria. I like that big thick memory bump. That just makes the grip safety a little more sensitive to your hand. You don't have to have a perfect grip on it. The fit and finish on this laid into the gun was perfect. So, I mean, for me. Now, somebody else would find a fault with it. So, I'm not that guy. That part is great for me. Next piece is the thumb safety. This is also a fairly critical item, but it is a low stress item. It doesn't have a lot of load on it. It has a pin that goes through and holds things together, holds the grip safety in there. But it is a MIM part, and you can also see the little circle there. Let's see if I can get it up close enough. There's a little circle right behind the shadow there. The little circle is where the machine ejects it. They have little punches. There's a little circle. It's right there by the pin, and it ejects that piece out of the mold when it's done, because this is a high production part. So out it goes, but it's a good quality stainless. It definitely has iron in it because it sticks to the magnet very good. You can see that clearly. It will stay at whatever position that you put it. It likes that position. So there, it's trying to be on, have the safety off, so it's going down. So we'll keep that piece, no problem. The next piece is the magazine release. This is a magazine release, and it's got the nice knurling on the front side of it. It is stainless steel. I cannot tell. Let's see if we got any. It has a parting line, so that's either cast or MIM. You can see the parting line right down the middle there. When you see any line, that means you've got an upper and a lower half to a mold. And whether this is investment casting or whether it is a MIM part, I do not care. It is a very low load. The biggest load it'll have is when you put your finger on there and push on it just a little bit to let the mag out. So no problem with it. I've never heard of anybody breaking one of these off, so we'll keep it. The next one is the parts, the guts that go inside the mainspring housing, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That's just a steel pin, and there's his little counterpart. This is the one that goes to the bottom, and that catches your locking pin because it's got the point on it. This spring is probably a 23 or 24, and I will put a custom spring in it, but we will fire up and use it initially. This piece, the mainspring housing, notice when I drop it on the tray what it does. It goes all over the place because there's no iron in that. You know how I know there's no iron? Because that thing is made out of plastic, and that is a no-go. It has no roughness on the back. It's not a heavy load. It will function in the gun. Colt is trying to save some money on their end, and also make the gun maybe a little bit less expensive for you. Highly doubt that part. But this is nylon, so I've already gone online and ordered a solid stainless steel one from Evolution Gunworks, EGW, and they've got that on the way right now. It'll have 20 line per inch checkering, and I'll put the original guts in that when it comes in. Definitely have a big box full of the Wolf custom hammer springs, so I'll be playing with that. This small pin that holds that together, I think he's safe enough to use. I don't want to beat that poor little guy up. We'll keep him. And then the last parts of the gun are the 3 pins that hold the gun together, and they look like good quality stainless steel. They're definitely not MIM or anything of that sort. They've got the good flats on them. They fit the gun absolutely perfect. This gun, it fits them so good that if you turn that frame over 180 and have them going down, they will fall out of the gun. This one will not. It has to be beat out of the gun very carefully with a punch. And you can see this one. This is the one that holds the mainspring housing in. It's rounded on one end, has a very small cup for the man that has to punch and take a punch, or a girl, take a punch and a small hammer and drive that out, and then you take your mainspring housing out. So those pins pass the inspection. So we're going to have, let's take a look at this and see what we ended up with in the reject pile. We've got the nylon. We've got the recoil spring guide rod because it's the wrong diameter. We have the double recoil spring, which seemed like a question mark looking for an answer to me. I'll go back with John Moses Browning, what he used. He believed in having a 16-pound spring in a government gun. If you're target shooting, you can use a 14, or even in my case go as low as a 12. The reason I'm using a 12 is because I'm not using 230 ball. I'm using 185 grain and 4.5 grains of bullseye. That puts me out of the barrel at about 750 to 800 feet per second. With a 185 grain bullet, that's 30% less recoil than a 230 grain. So very happy. I've shot a whole bunch of 1911s that have that, all of mine have the Wolf variable rate recoil spring in the 12 pound. The last item that we're going to box up and keep in the Colt box are these screws. You can see they are steel, they're stainless, but they got some iron in them, and the magnet will tell you that because they're stacking up. But there's nothing wrong with them, okay? If you like screws, I'm not going to beat anybody up that wants to keep screws. That's absolutely fine. Like I said, Mr. Hilton Yam, he is a man that wants screws in his gun because he likes the simplicity of the screwdriver or a coin, maybe a dime, or the rim on a 45 ACP case will drive those screws. So that's a good point. I'm going to keep a very small torque wrench, Torx brand TORX. I think it's a T15 or so. I will have a small L version of that in my wallet. So that way if I'm out on the range or out in the yard or wherever I need to tighten it up. I've never had to do that. My Torx has always just put a big fat drop of blue Loctite on them, and that's the end of that discussion. So I hope you enjoyed episode number 1, and come back for episode 2 and you'll see me replace some parts and we'll start putting the gun back together. So thanks for watching, and over and out for now.